A light turns on in one of the houses behind us. My dad, undaunted, continues to mess with the tent in the wind, but I stare at the light. There are people in there. We are not supposed to camp here, and there are people who can definitely see us. This is not good. I grab hold of the side of the tent, and I start to put a pole through the holes as I struggle against the wind. Rain is coming down, and the ocean roars in front of us. Behind us are a bunch of summer houses that seemed unoccupied. But now I begin to question whether we should be here. We are right beyond one of the fenced yards, so we might be on public property. But this space is clearly not meant for camping. But where else could we go? We get the tent all the way up. I go to get the stakes from our bags, and as my dad continues to hold on to the tent, as I go over to our bikes, I see a woman walking towards us. Oh dear, this is going to be awkward. Are you all camping here tonight? Yes, I say meekly. I don't know if you all are allowed to, and it is supposed to be really stormy. If you all would like, you can pitch your tent in our backyard. That will give you more shelter from the wind, and you won't be bothered by anyone. Whew. That would be wonderful, thank you. My dad and I carry the tent over to their yard, stake down the tent, and throw our stuff in. As we tighten the rain flap, a man comes out and invites us to come and have some tea. As I wait for my dad to fix everything in the tent, I go to get our bikes and trailers to move them closer. As I am reaching for the bikes, I see the ocean. In that moment, I am overtaken by gratitude for this day, the beginning of this trip, my father, and these wonderful people. This whole thing started 6 years ago in Salina, Kansas. 2 orders of chicken fried rice, please. My father ordered for the 3 of us at our favorite fast food restaurant, Imperial Garden. It was greasy but had vegetables, so it was deceptive in its unhealthiness. The dish was heaped up high and big enough to share, and most of all, it was cheap. We placed our helmets on the booth and waited for food. My dad had recently begun riding his bicycle around town to work and other various places, and my older sister and I had quickly followed suit. My dad sat down with the food, and we started eating away. At some point, my dad started to tell us about his dream of riding his bicycle coast to coast. We jumped right into his dream. It sounded incredible. We quickly began vividly imagining the trip. We would ride side by side, talking about theology, places we were headed, and new dreams that were developing. Whenever we wanted to, we would stop and enjoy a good cup of coffee and read. Maybe we could even figure out how to read while riding our bikes. Maybe my mom and younger sister would follow us in the van. We were all yes-anding one another left and right. By the end of the lunch, the 3 of us were enchanted by this idea, and it never left me. As I stood there listening to the ocean, I realized a lot had changed. A lot has changed since that afternoon 6 years before. I've graduated from high school and college. My parents are divorced. My older sister is now a full-time ballroom dance teacher, which doesn't allow her to take time off. And my father moved to rural Kentucky to minister to a church. But now, here my father and I are, ready to shift a dream into reality. I turn, and my father has come to take his bike over to the tent. I also turn away from the ocean, move the remaining bike and trailer close to our tent. And then my father and I go into the stranger's home for tea. We wake up the next morning to a light rain. My dad and I take the tent underneath the carport of the strangers who had welcomed us into their yard last night. Once the tent is down, we look at all of our stuff that we now have to fit into these 2 huge yellow bags. It's kind of like a puzzle. We have to find the one way that all of our stuff can fit, and then the bag has to be closed so that it always stays waterproof. After several tries, everything is in the yellow bag. I sit on the bag and squish it together as my dad snaps the clips together. I do the same for my dad's trailer. Then my dad and I take turns holding onto the bikes as the other connects the trailers to the back wheel. All is packed and we are ready to go. Now I just stare at my bike. It is so intimidating. I have no idea how I'm supposed to bike with this trailer on a flat surface, let alone the hills I know are before us. The butterflies in my stomach begin again. Have I made a mistake? Am I going to fail? Will I even accomplish one day of biking before I am ready to quit? I think about the people who scoffed at me when I shared with them that my father and I are planning to bicycle coast to coast. Well, here it goes, one thing at a time. First, let me see if I can get this bike standing up so I can get on. I'm not even really sure how to describe this, but the bike is laying on the ground and the trailer is connected to the rear wheel and it is at a right angle to the bike. So I have to get it standing up. Right, and I'm learning this new trick. I've got to hip check the bicycle seat in place while holding the handlebars steady. And this whole thing is a little bit heavy, so I've got to lean forward while putting pressure from my hip on the seat so it moves the trailer from an angle to the bike to where it all stands straight behind it in a straight line. I cheer myself on. After several times, I manage to get my bike to stand up straight with the trailer. I see the excitement in my dad's face and I smile at him. Ready? He asks. As I look at the contraption, I can barely keep standing and look at a hill that is close by. I think to myself, no, I am not ready. Let's knock on these nice people's door, enjoy a cup of coffee, and then figure out something fun to do for 8 weeks. But then I also think, yes, I am ready for this to begin, for us to begin this crazy and exciting adventure, and I can't believe we are finally doing this. So I resolutely nod to my father, put on my helmet and gloves, and mount my bicycle and start to pedal. Here we go. I take the lead going up the hill gradually, huffing and puffing, every once in a while looking behind to see if my dad is still with me. I finally get into a pattern and get more used to the weight behind me. I finally make it to some sort of top and I start to go downhill. My breath is relieved, but my stress seems to increase. I place my hands over the brakes and I stiffen my upper body and arms. I feel shaky, weaving a little bit more than I like in the shoulder. I can't seem to get comfortable. Each curve I go around makes me more nervous. I don't feel in control of my bicycle. The rain is still coming down and everything is slippery. I still cannot stay in the narrow 2-foot shoulder, and with the curvy roads and rain, I am wet and tired. All of a sudden, what I have been nervous about happening since I started going downhill happens. My bicycle goes beyond shaky. I see the front wheel turn to the left and then to the right, swooping back and forth. I struggle for a few milliseconds, trying to get back on route, trying to get control, wondering what happened. And then I give up. I realize I am crashing and I go down hard. Damn it! Really? I have never fallen off my bike before and I choose the first day of this trip to fall? Really? A woman hops out of her car. Are you all right? I, still a little confused, sit up. My whole left side hurts and I'm a little dazed. But I think I'm okay. She helps me to the side. My father comes up behind. A wave of nausea hits me, so I just sit back down. Another person stops and gets out. He turns out to be an ER physician, and he checks me out. It seems like the helmet did the trick, and my body has just been bruised. He offers to take us to the hospital. Yes, take me out from here. Let's get to town. Get checked out, then to a hotel and some hot coffee. Yes, give us a ride. But no. I look to my dad and I see not only this moment, but the little kid who first saw the cross-country bicyclist who invaded his imagination. I see the courage he put forward when he requested in a job interview an 8-week sabbatical in his first year. And I see our dream that we had invested in, planned and activated, So I don't say that. I say I am all right. The ER physician gives us his number and then leaves. My father and I sit on the side of the road for a while, waiting for the nauseous feeling to pass, eating almonds, drinking water, laughing about our misadventures already so far. After a while, I feel ready. I pick up my helmet. I see that a huge chunk of it broke off from my fall. Wow, I think to myself, yay, helmets! So I get back on my bike, a little reluctantly, with only the thought of a warm cup of coffee down the road to move me forward, and the faith in a dream, faith that it is worthy and that it would be good.